Hey, what's going on, guys? codemachikin here. In this video I'd like to describe the reasons of why I'm actually dropping freelancing. So I'm not really sure that you actually care about this, but I see that the number of subscribers of codemachikin's channel is kind of growing, and it's very fun that it's a very fun thing that as soon as I've stopped really caring about the number of subscribers, they started growing really significantly. So it's really lots of subscribers every day are joining here. Bearing in mind the fact that I'm no longer actually making any new videos here on codemachikin's channel. Well, maybe just very few videos within the last couple of months. I don't know. I was thinking that actually this Google Partner Program with advertisements within the video would help me to make some income, but I can't verify my billing address for about 3 months at the moment, and it's really easier for me just to drop this Google Partner Program completely and not really getting bothered with the monetization anymore, because it's annoying me so much that and the amount of money that I would be able to get in return is very miserable at the moment. So it's easier to drop this completely rather than to stick around with Google, which I don't really want to spend my life for, actually. So well, I'm not sure, maybe it's really hard to say basically, but most likely I'm gonna be dropping this Google Partner Program because it really starts getting really annoying. I hate corporations and all this when you don't even have a support, when you can't just, well, that's just so weird stuff, but it doesn't matter really, so it's not the point of the video at any point. This channel has been representing my own growth as a human being, as a freelancer, like professional growth. It has been highlighting all the stuff I've been doing since the very beginning of my freelancing career and up to the very end of it, basically. So for those of you who has been following codemachikin's channel for quite a bit of time, you probably know that quite pretty well. So now the problem is that the matter of making new content is the matter of kind of reflecting what you're currently doing. And what am I currently doing? Currently I'm doing chess programming. That's my main kind of field of interest and the main field where I work basically at the moment. So just to give you an idea regarding my new channel, I've been introducing that really lots of times. Not really lots of subscribers at the moment, only 272. So just quickly show you this. But there is something that I'm really currently doing actually, and I have really lots of videos, and all my time and effort is now spent for this sort of stuff. I'm developing a JavaScript chess engine called Wukong. So for those interested, you just feel free to have a look at that. So I just want to say that I just can't do two things in the row basically, and still, like, you might wonder that if codemachikin, like, if you're no longer doing any web scraping videos, if you're no longer freelancing, then why the heck you're actually talking to us? Well, the reason is very simple. So it happens that really lots of newcomers appearing on codemachikin's channel still, even though I don't make any new videos on web scraping or some freelancing related stuff, not even blog videos on how to freelance that I've been doing in the past, but still it seems like some questions might be arising. So anyway, codemachikin's channels had one of the main features behind this is the interaction with you guys. So I've been answering all of the emails you've been sending me. I try to answer every single commentary below the videos, both technical or, I don't know, like some general questions maybe. So I think that can still be the case of our interaction. So the fact that I'm no longer available for new orders as a freelancer doesn't really mean that I'm not available for helping you guys. Well, I would say even more. Then eventually it turned So my freelancing career turned into paid consultations. So now it's literally enough for me to just give a private consultations on really a wide range of topics, starting from how to start freelancing, going by what kind of niche to consider, what programming language to pick up, what learning path should you consider, what type of clients you need to start dealing with, what are the soft skills. So one of the main things in freelancing in general. So the knowledge on how to interact with the clients, picking up proper clients, and things like that. So really lots of domain specific knowledge there, and it's quite pretty fun to see that the number of guys who are starting their freelancing career from scratch, thankfully to following my videos on web scraping, now they're making more money than I do. They make money on Upwork mostly, much more than I do. Well, it's not because I can't, just because I never care about the money that much as they do probably, and like I prefer to work for about 10% of the time and spend 90% of the time like helping people making something interesting thing like chess programming maybe. So that's codemachikin. So yeah, that's kind of how it goes. So I just wanted to share a simple idea. So like when you're doing something for quite a bit of time, when you're exposing this into a public, and when you're getting some sort of a feedbacks for what you're doing, you finally start realizing what actually you're good at. So you guys really helped me to realize that I'm good at revealing the patterns behind the logic of bringing together skills, what else? Path, motivation, like all the stuff, bringing all the stuff together that is needed in order to start doing something. Well, in our case, this was the matter of freelancing, but it's not only about the freelancing. So how to start doing something, and how to actually find the proper path within that sort of an activity that you're about to choose. So like when there was no internet in the world and there was a lack of information, so the matter of being successful was the matter of having the information, right? So those guys who had more information, they were more successful because they were aware of bigger amount of things basically. But now it's absolutely on the contrary. So there are so many resources on the internet, starting from education, like courses, boot camps, really lots of materials. But the problem within all of those materials is that they're trying to pick up a very specific topics, sometimes even diving really deeply into those topics, but it's absolutely impossible to see the overall picture of the actual freelancing market basically. And not only the freelancing market, it's the same for selling software market, like consultation market, I don't know, whatever market, like paid services market, like proxy services or whatever. It doesn't matter really. So some various websites that propose new subscriptions, like $5 per month, $10 per month, whatever service they provide. This might be whatever basically. So there are really lots of different patterns on how people actually monetize in whatever. That the most issue is not to get into the technical details, but the most issue is to pick up the proper information from all this bulk of information that we have out there. So it's incredibly difficult to pick up, I take this one here, this here, this here, and this here, and eventually I have some sort of working pattern basically. So what codemachikin appeared to be good at, surprisingly, I didn't know that on my own, to be sure, to be honest, but surprisingly I find myself being good at actually composing those patterns. And it's especially this is seen especially good when I'm talking to my subscribers who has become successful freelancers, and it's very important. Like people are often asking me like, you say so, you hate that, like you consider this, and so on and so on. And I always reply to them, guys, that's only my case. That shouldn't be your case at the same time. If I say that something is good and something is bad, that's only for me in the current particular time frame. It might no longer be truth in the future, or it couldn't be the truth in the past. So only for this particular period of time, this might be truth for me at the moment. But this is not a constant, so this is the variable. It can be changed later on, and it's very important to not to offer your own experience in freelancing, in life, and whatever. But it's far more important to see what the guy is up with, basically. So what kind of sort of a format, which patterns would better fit him or her, rather than trying to using some sort of a templates that actually everybody does templates. So that's the most weird thing regarding all this market that regards to education of how to code, things like that. So they've created lots of templates, and all these templates basically serving the purpose of enslaving people to work for big companies. So that's kind of it. That's all they do. And regardless of one's particular goal, what I really against of is I'm really against of slavery at any sort of whatever format, basically. So you're free to work wherever you want, however you want, for whatever client you want, whatever format, like big companies, small startups, private clients, like selling software or something, whatever format. But I strongly believe that the most important thing is not getting enslaved. And most likely the matter of getting enslaved happens when people trying to work for big companies where they really don't care about your own personality, just trying to fit you to the template that they have. And in most cases, this result that they break in your own nature, and that's you might obtain some extra skills like coding skills or whatever. But I can hardly believe that is worth of that, because like your life is more important than some sort of a good skills and a good salary. Well, to my personal opinion, I'm not really offering you this opinion at any point. It's just my very personal one. But anyway, an interesting thing is that for some reason I've revealed the skill of my own, the skill of seeing of what might be the most beneficial for a given person. So if you're talking to a guy and you just already realize, like, okay, so for you it would be better to work in this sort of format, and for you it would be better to consider something different. So it really depends on person. Just to give you a particular example. So have a good friend of mine, Andy. He's a Russian-speaking guy, as I am, and in one of the consultations, we've been discussing that the format, and he was always mentioning. So like he was kind of referencing my videos or something. He said, like, you consider this you didn't like the Django framework for production. You don't like to work for big companies, etc., etc., etc. But it turns out that he eventually, I encouraged him to consider this Django framework. So there was a particular big company. By the way, he got hired by a big company. Not aware about the name. In Upwork, they always prefer to hide their real kind of company names, etc. So it might be like just unknown, no name client, but on the real deal, this might be somebody very huge. I had those experience. I had that experience on my own on Upwork back in the day. So when you're talking to a guy, like he seems like quite pretty shy, but then you're trying to search for him, googling for him, and it appears that he is the owner of the company that is making $1,000 per month. So that's quite pretty impressive. But anyway, so Andy is one of the first guys who started freelancing on Upwork, thankfully to my videos. Well, not only thankfully to my videos, obviously, but that was some sort of a thing that pushed him eventually to actually kickstart with that. And he got hired by that big company, and there was a project. So they were I don't really remember the moment what in particular they were doing. There was something related to highlighting text within the PDF files. There was some sort of a service they were developing, and the job of Andy was to create a RESTful API that would be serving as actually what to highlight within that PDF file. So it was taking the PDF file as an input and just returned those particular parts that are about to be highlighted. I'm sorry, just this was quite a pretty long time ago. I don't really remember all the tiny little details behind the project, so just a rough overview of that. And he started to think how technically this would be done, how to better done it technically, and eventually he decided to use the Django RESTful framework, which is quite pretty high level instrument for creating this, for automating this sort of tasks. And it's one of the examples. So in my videos, let's say regarding the RESTful APIs, I was always mentioning the fact that I don't like the Django, I don't like this RESTful API framework, because they decide for you how to implement things, and you're no longer free to make it on your own. But when you're working for a big company and when you really need to come up with a scalable code quite pretty quickly, then instead of reinventing the wheel, it's a really good idea to take someone else's work, like this, the Django REST API framework, and just to build your logic on top of that framework, and you're done basically. And that's the exact thing that Andy considered. And quite a fun fact that he was really doubting, like he was asking me in one of the consultations, like, what do you think? Should I use the Django REST API framework, or maybe I should use maybe I should handcraft this using Flask? And I said, obviously, if you have that big client, assuming the particular circumstances behind the project you're currently working on, you really should consider the Django REST API framework, because that's the most appropriate instrument to resolve those particular issues that arising at you at the moment. And he did that. So he started learning that the Django REST API framework on his own, and eventually he got the product. He got the contract, and he started working on that contract, started getting paid, and eventually that's quite pretty successful at the moment. So what I want to say that it's, I'm sorry guys, the screensaver has just just was talking too long apparently. So my job was actually to point the proper instrument and to encourage him to pick up the proper instrument for a current particular work that he had within the format that he has considered, and so on and so forth, so on. So that's just a very simple example, and it's not only with Andy, it's literally everywhere. It happens absolutely the same. So depending on what kind of person you are, it depends on what sort of clients, what caliber of clients are you about to be picking up. So someone prefers like big clients, someone prefers small startups, someone prefers small private clients, maybe even students that trying to hire someone on Upwork to make their education related stuff done. So everyone has their own clients, and that's totally fine. So it turns out to be quite pretty important to pick up those proper patterns within the existing patterns, within the existing possibilities on the market and composing them into the patterns that would be working best for you. And that's the exact thing that I've been doing recently within my paid consultations I'm currently giving to my subscribers. So my freelancing has there was some sort of an evolution of my freelancing career. It turned into this paid consultations because, again, like when you're freelancing, it's always the matter of discovering what you're really good at and trying to pick that instead. So I've realized that I'm really getting annoyed when I need to write code for someone, a guy, to to solve his issues, which is the core essence, the gist essence of freelancing, basically. But that was something that was really annoying me, to be honest. That's something that I've realized recently. After dropping my very last client, after passing my very last client to a very good friend of mine, Dr. Pi. So yeah, and actually, because there was some jobs regarding the automation with the PDF files. So I just I've written logic to extract the data from numerous PDF files and store them to XLSX file, and this was such a huge optimization. So it saved really weeks of work when a guy was manually typing the text in from PDF files to XLSX file. That was total weird nonsense. Now it's getting done in a matter of seconds automatically, and I just redirected that client to Dr. Pi, so now he's maintaining his projects, lots of new upcoming stuff. I really hope for that. So yeah, that's how it works. And again, like Dr. Pi is really good at automating things. He really enjoys delving in within those sort of stuff. So I'm really happy to gonna share a very good client with my good friends. So I think that's the right way of doing things. So anyway, I just wanted to give you an idea of this evolution, like from freelancing to paid consultations. So, and the reason why these paid consultations eventually arised is because of the skill of my skill, the ability to, again, like to pick up the separated points. The separate desires of a person who wants to be a freelancer, the separated wishes, I don't know, like abilities, skills, everything matters. How well you talk in English, this matters. What programming language you're good at. Within the current given programming language, what kind of framework are you interested in? What programming patterns are you following? How do you prefer to interact with people in general, not only with the clients? So really tons of things matters. And like when you think that you know all the things that matter really here, and you started interacting with someone new guy, eventually you're realizing that you didn't know anything before that, and every next person is teaching you something that you've never knew before and could never imagine that is possible actually. So it's very exciting. So when you have this live interactions with this guys who wants to start freelancing, it's very interesting job in terms of composing this unique personal pattern for a human, for a person to follow in order to achieve those goals he's setting for himself. And another interesting thing that I have been asked for. I just really got really lots of emails entitled like, "Sir, could you please teach me Python? Sir, could you please teach me how to freelance?" and things like that. But those that were asking to teach how to freelance were referring to teach me coding, to teach me how to code so I could make money as a freelancer. So this really naive emails. But what I've realized, so I was always rejecting them, and I still reject them. But I just want to expose. I just want to expose into public the reason behind why am I doing this, and I'm not sure whether people would be grateful to me for that in the future or not, but at very least, just want to try to explain my thoughts at this point. So, when a guy says like, "Teach me how to code so I could make money," it's so, like, it's literally to nowhere. It leads to nowhere because the way I code and the way you code is totally different, and the way I code serves it reflects the way I live, the way it reflects what person I am, it reflects my goals, it reflects the circumstances behind my life, my experience, literally everything. So how I code is actually who I am. And when you say like, teach me how to code, or literally teach me to code how you code, I say this is total nonsense, because I'm not going to be teaching you how to be me. Because for me personally, the matter of teaching how to code is not separable from from the personality. Because I strongly believe that the main disaster, the main issue behind the modern educational system is that they're trying to separate the skill from the personality, and they're applying the templates so that and those templates actually violating your own nature, and you can no longer be your own self when you code, and only a few people actually manage to to save their own nature, and those people really start being really becoming kind of successful people. Like really a few of those, you probably all know them all, like those who started those big companies, these big IT companies. So it's very rare seeing that if they apply these templates, and these templates really fit someone again so nicely that he can get most out of that. Or on the other hand, it's also possible that if you just make lots of work trying to understand this from scratch again, when you already know how to code, and you just try to fit that to your own style, to your own personality. But it's like old Chinese wisdom says, like teach a man is easy, but reteach the man is very, very hard thing to do. So it's far easier to teach from scratch rather than teach someone who already knows something. And this is also true if you're trying to teach your own self when you already know something. That's incredibly difficult. It's much easier to learn from scratch. So again, like just to avoid making this disaster to people. So I don't really want to teach something that would be violating your own nature, that won't fit your needs. And I just don't really want the situation where when eventually you'll say, okay, I know how to code, codemachikin has told me how to code, now I can code well, but I can't apply those skills. So that's the core issue. So all of those paid programming courses and boot camps, you just go there, you pay money, and then you say, okay, I got the skills, but now I have another issue. I don't know how to apply them. I don't know how to get a job. And this is never-ending stuff, because if you learn how to code in a natural, proper way, by the time when you end your learning, and even before that, you already start landing some jobs. That's the very amazing mechanism of how it's going. So you may believe me or not, but when I started freelancing, even though it was related to web scraping at some point, it was more related to web development actually rather than web scraping, and I was afraid to take orders as a freelancer that did regard to the pure web scraping. Believe it or not, I was thinking like, maybe I'm not really that great in web scraping. I'm just afraid to take those orders. So, and I wasn't doing that, believe it or not. And then I started making web scraping videos here on codemachikin's channel. And when I made around 100 scrapers, I felt like, well, it's not that difficult basically. So I think that it's fine. It's quite pretty fine to take those jobs regarding the pure freelancing, and then I've realized that why do I need to make web development when I can simply switch to web scraping, to the pure web scraping, which I did, and that's it. So and again, like, I was gaining this web scraping skills via creating this programming videos here on codemachikin's channel. So I was making these videos on how to make web scraping, and if you have a look at the very early videos of mine, you'll see that there are really lots of mistakes, like from the Python from the Python language perspective. I didn't know how to properly open the file to read the bytes from it. So I was doing some extra unnecessary work there, like looping over the lines within the when I'm reading the file. So like with open file as f.read, and I was saying like for a line in f.read, content plus equals line. That's the way how I was initializing the content from the file. But it's literally enough to say just f.read and you're done, because all the content is already there. But at that time I didn't really know that. So I was learning how to do web scraping by making these videos. And I was making these videos, and at the same time I started getting some jobs asking me to scrape something for someone, a guy. And then I realized, okay, so I no longer need Upwork, because I have quite pretty lots of requests from my YouTube, either subscribers, clients, doesn't matter. And that's the way, that's the exact mechanism of how I did obtain my main and biggest client that I'm still currently working with. But again, like, I think that I just he once asked me, like, you're doing chess programming for it takes really lots of time for you now. Are you still okay to be working for me, like making web scrapers for me? And I say, like, yeah, like, I will make an exception for you, because the matter that I'm no longer taking new projects as a freelancer doesn't really yet mean that I'm gonna be dropping your projects, because we're working nicely, and well, dropping a good friend is a bad idea always. So it's not a big deal. It's not torturing me much, so I can make web scrapers for him in my spare time. You just listen to the concept: making paid job in my spare time. So in my main time, I'm making a free job, and I'm making paid job in my spare time. So it's quite a bit on the contrary compared to how people usually do. So that's what I wanted to say, guys. That's very simple idea. So when you gaining the skills in the natural way, you don't have a problem of how to land a job, how to apply your skills. That's the very simple thing, basically. So instead of going to the courses and then trying to think how to land a job, going for those never-ending damn job interviews, I mean, which I personally really hate. I had I had a single job interview in my life. I failed it completely. and I'm very happy with that, because that gave me a freedom, and that gave me the motivation to reveal the real mechanism behind of how to learn. And if you learn properly, in that case, you no longer face a problem of landing a job. That's a very simple mechanism. So I just want to drop back, rewind back a little bit. So guys was asking me, like, sir, could you please teach me Python? So how to code? So I would have became a freelancer. And well, back in the day, I was rejecting those requests intuitively, but now I can use my consciousness to explain the reason behind that. So you don't need me to learn how to code, because what does it mean to be a pro? Being a pro means that you're able to learn and to improve on your own. And all the content on codemachikin's channel, and also on my chess programming channel as well, it actually proves this concept with every single next video you're watching. So because every single video that is something like, I didn't know this stuff, but then I just learned something on my own, then I made a video on it. So just showing the process of how to improve my understanding, my programming skills, etc. So that's how the thing's going basically. So I say like, why do you want me to teach you when you can just simply have a look at how do I learn, and you can just replicate the way of how I learn. So if you are able to replicate this way, if you're precise enough to take your time to watch the videos, try to get these hidden patterns within. So what am I doing in particular? So if you're really watching those videos, you're starting just absorbing the method that I use. I'm not explaining this method not because it's a secret or something. It's not a secret. It's just I don't know. It's not about something to be described within the words. I call it codemachikin. Codemachikin is not only my nickname, it's the approach, it's the lifestyle. So codemachikin is just some sort of a way of how to learn. So you just, I try to describe this very quickly. So let's say you want to learn something, or let's say you want to learn, I don't know, how to make a web application and how to add some URL endpoints, some HTTP routes to your web application. And then you're starting, depending on what programming language you want to use for this purpose, and depending on what kind of framework you want to use, you're just looking for proper resources, either the YouTube videos by some other guys like Traverse Media, the absolutely fantastic resource, or maybe some documentation as well. It's very, very good then. Well, if you're more experienced, you're more likely about going for documentation rather than video tutorials. So first, I was really, the most amount of information I've learned was from actually watching videos. It was more likely regarding the web development, but regarding the web scraping, everything I learned from exactly two sources: the documentation of Beautiful Soup library and the documentation of Scrape library. That's it. So you might wonder, like, codemachikin knows something about web scraping. There is no secret. You just go to Scrape documentation and you just read a bit of that documentation. That's the source of my skills. Very simple. I didn't watch videos on web scraping, believe it or not. I was only making the videos on web scraping, but my source of information was the documentation of Scrape framework. Sorry, I forgot to say. Also, I was referencing the request library documentation, which is also awesome. Well, Stack Overflow also helpful. So if you want to know some specific answers, so just Google for that, like how to use proxy with the request library, and Stack Overflow would give you an answer. Quite pretty simple. So that's it. So if the matter of codemachikin's approach is the matter of seeing these kind of patterns within the amount of information or knowledge within the current specific domain, that you just kind of taking a snapshot of that, and then you try to fit that snapshot to your own identity, personality, and then you just try like a monkey to replicate that just to get a similar result. And as soon as you get a similar result, then you're turning on your consciousness, trying to reveal the tiny little details behind this particular implementation. So not only being satisfied by the fact that it works, but you try to understand, trying to reveal how it works in particular. And in that case, you're working this out better again. And finally, suddenly it becomes like your own skill, your own knowledge. Then you can make a video on that, sharing this with the people, and people say like, oh, codemachikin knows this, so he's good at this. No, he's not. It's just codemachikin. I just took a snapshot, then I just worked that out from within and just obtain my own understanding. That's it. That's something that you guys can do as well. So that's what I want to say. Why? That's how I explain why I reject from teaching people on how to code, because the matter of, if you want to teach from codemachikin, don't get taught from me. Get taught from the codemachikin's method. You just replicate the steps that I do. And here in this video in particular, I'm revealing this. I'm really making this breakdown of codemachikin's method just to give you an idea of how I personally do it. So it's not a secret anymore, right? So you can make it on your own as well. It's not a big deal. And if you're starting to learn this way, then the only real question arising in front of you is what kind of direction to pick up in order to apply this codemachikin's approach. And this is where the consultations are coming onto the stage, because the matter of snapshotting some goals, tasks, implementations is quite pretty trivial, and anybody can do that. But when it comes to trying to select the proper items to compose your own pattern from proper items from different sources, in order to compose your own pattern, now this might be a little bit complicated. And here, well, for some reason, I don't know, probably this is the gift from the heaven, most likely. I don't know where it comes from, but I just have that intuition probably to feel like what we should to consider and what we should not to consider. And not only for myself, when I just talk to a guy, I see that it's more natural for him to take this stuff and to avoid this one and so on. So it's just a matter of sensitivity. So if you can sense something within your own self, you can also sense this within someone else. And that's the way how you can help someone else. And that's the reason for this format of consultations, that I didn't actually invent that just happened naturally. That's all the things I'm doing. The key word here is being natural. That's the natural flow. So the flow is something that you're not pushing the effort to cure to make the result happen. So the result is happening naturally on its own. So it's all the matter of following your inner nature, internal nature, inner flow. As far as you feel that flow, as far as you follow that flow would definitely bring you to the very best ever possible place where you can find yourself. And sometimes it might seem it might be incredibly difficult to believe, to trust your internal flow, because you think like, I just give you a current. I just want to provide a current particular example of what I'm kind of struggling with on my own at the moment. So I'm currently completely switching to chess programming, and I think this might be a little bit scary for people to drop something that you're really good at, you're getting paid well for, and literally go into nowhere, because I'm not making money on chess programming at all, believe it or not. But I really feel that it has much bigger potential compared to web scraping. Despite the fact that I have no idea how in particular this can get monetized in future, and even I'm not even sure that it can get monetized. But I really feel that it's incredibly important for me to go exactly this way, because I just trust it so much, because I always try the flow that leads me, because it never failed me basically, and it always, sometimes I could never imagine that this flow would bring me to where I am now basically. So it's the matter of trusting your own nature. And in order to trust your own nature, you need to keep revealing your own nature every single day. And that's the reason why you need some sort of a practice for that. And by saying practice, well, even though that me personally, I'm a long-term practitioner of like Chinese martial arts for health mainly, but it's not the point. By saying practice, I mean some sort of an activity when you have composed your own pattern, and then you work in that pattern many times, many iterations. So Chess Engine might serve as a good example. So it has a limited number of parts it consists of. So it's like a mode generator, its search function, and the evaluation function. And within this three core parts of the Chess Engine, there are really lots of patterns that makes difference on how each part is composed. It affects really lots of outcome parameters you have eventually, like playing strength, speed, etc. But that's not the point really. You just really have a system of patterns to work with, where you can come back to every single pattern many times, revisiting it, and eventually, I don't know just how to call it in one word, you're just starting getting inwards. Not going widespread outwards, but going inwards instead. So just to give a very quick idea and understanding of what I mean by saying inwards and outwards. So all the freelancing is the direction leading outwards. So it's kind of like when you're freelancing, you're most likely about to be picking some sort of an existent technologies, programming languages, frameworks, whatever, and then applying them to solve some particular business logic for your clients. So that's what the freelancing is in general, and in particular as well. But, well, let's say the chess programming, just to give some sort of a clear comparison. So you just imagine that you're not doing. So let's take web scraping just as an example. So I just want to describe the difference between the freelancing and as going outwards, and then the example of how to go inwards. So let's say that you're not. Going outwards means that you just take Scrapy and you just start making spiders for massive crawlings to get really lots of data for your clients, and doing this and maintaining those scrapers. So you're becoming the part of the pipeline, most likely serving the purpose of some sort of a machine learning purposes. So your goal is to establish this initial input part of the pipeline to actually get the data from the sources, and then passing this data to the next element within the pipeline that would be processing the data, applying some machine learning algorithms, and then extracting some useful insights from that data. So that's the freelance, and that's going outwards. And I imagine that actually what is needed in order to make this possible. So you need that Scrapy framework, right? Also, you need a Python programming language. Well, making a programming language is a little bit too much for me at the moment, at least. But let's say making a web scraping framework. So if you were the author of somewhat a complicated framework as Scrapy, the same stuff for web development frameworks as well. It doesn't matter which framework it is. But you imagine that you're not working in terms of applying this Scrapy framework, but instead, I'm sorry guys, just talking too much, not even shaking my mouth anymore. My mouse, not mouth. So yeah, so you just imagine that instead of applying Scrapy, you start developing Scrapy. Okay, so you just imagine that you're developing the framework that others would be applying that. Okay, so just imagine that you're a developer of Scrapy, that you're a developer of Request library, of Beautiful Soup library, of Flask framework. You just imagine that. So that's a totally different. That's also the application of your programming skills, of your knowledge, etc., of your life experience, of your internal nature, but that goes inwards, because here is the difference. So when you have a given framework, let's say Scrapy, so today you scrape this site, then this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. So every next time you would be scraping a new site. But when you're developing this Scrapy framework on your own, you have the downloader middleware, you have the selectors, you have some, headers middleware, cookies middleware. Scrapy has really lots of middleware. So let's say you're now working with a downloader middleware based on the Twisted Internet library, which is the asynchronous request, asynchronous HTTP request that Scrapy's downloader middleware is built on top of. So you would be thinking, you would be revisiting your code again and again. You would be thinking how to make it better, how to make it scalable, and so on and so on. So your mind would be solving the task. You always trying to. You always would be concentrating inwards. That's the core difference. So when you want to describe the site, you're thinking outwards, like how to bypass the scraping measures. So every time you're using new selectors, because obviously every new site would be having some unique own selectors that the previous site didn't have. But so that's one sort of an effort, and another sort of an effort is when you're just trying to concentrate on a particular problem, and you're iterating over and over again. So you have several modules. This all is a one big pattern that you're revisiting again, and again. That's the reason why we have version 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, etc. And this development progress never ends. And that's what I'm currently facing with my WukongJS engine. So let's say for a chess engine, so it's all the same, because you're just starting. First, you just need to create this big house, like, which can be called the chess engine, and then you're revisiting every room within that house, and you're making it better. Sometimes it might happen that you just can take the roof entirely away and bring up a new one, or even take up the fundamentals, drop them out, and just try to put some other stuff. Well, if you have a modular program, that is possible. That's the benefits of the modular approach. So anyway, that's the difference. And for me personally, the natural evolution from freelancing to this kind of inwards direction, to this inwards, just inwards is that's the entire word to describe. Just inwards. That's it. Nothing much to be said here. So again, I have no idea how in particular that is getting monetized. If that does, well, probably, maybe not. It doesn't matter really. The only thing that does matter is that it actually allows me to grow and allows me to be free. So as far as something that I'm doing allows me to grow and to be free, that's already quite pretty okay. So I understand that this sort of stuff that I'm currently doing is most likely not interesting to people, and it's quite pretty okay. So the amount of people who is making Scrapy framework is, let's say, 5%, and the 95% is the people who actually using Scrapy to write the real world web scrapers to make money on that, and that's the difference. So 5%, maybe even 1% is making Scrapy, and 99% writing web scrapers. So it's always the same, regardless of the domain, basically. So I hope this is a little bit clearer at the moment. And yeah, so I will make this video a new trailer of codemachikin's channel, and I just really want you guys, those newcomers, I just want to give you an idea regarding my own evolution. Where did I start, and where am I going? Where I'm currently at. So, but anyway, I really want to, assuming that the number of subscribers, not here, but on codemachikin's channel is actually growing day by day. I really want to keep this interaction with you guys. So just to quickly highlight the appropriate way of how you can interact with the codemachikin. So this format of the consultations. So if you have any questions on freelancing, learning path, and how to bring all this stuff together to change basically your life completely, what I did before, then that's the right address. So again, I strongly believe that this personal work actually brings the results, because otherwise, if you're not going for this personal work, you're just developing some sort of a templates, try to fit those templates to people. They don't fit, so you need to violate the nature of a human being, and then you just taking money from him, and then he thinks okay, I got the skills, but how the heck am I supposed to land a job with those skills? Quite pretty unfortunate thing that we see all on the way around here. Okay guys, so I think this is it from my side. So I can hardly believe what sort of content I could have keep producing here on codemachikin's channel. So probably the only appropriate format for new content requests, maybe some sort of on-demand stuff, But please don't ask me to make web scraping tutorials anymore. I'm so tired of them. I just don't really want to make any web scraping tutorials. So what I recently discovered, again, like thankfully to the consultations, is that it turns out that many guys who are already successful freelancers, they have a lack of very basic knowledge regarding the programming, and regardless of programming language. So I had a video, one of my recent videos on codemachikin's channel was about erasing pointers and in general, and using pointers versus deep copy in Python and JavaScript. So two different languages, but despite the fact of those two different languages, the idea behind pointers, using understanding pointers and deep copy, is programming language agnostic. And I really think that understanding this sort of a basics is way more important, because again, like the problem is you can find a very good materials, good resources on the internet on the particular specific technical issues, but it's incredibly hard to find the materials bringing all this stuff together. So I would appreciate questions and requests that would be encouraging me to make the content on how to bring all this stuff together. So it doesn't matter if this goes regarding like how to freelance, like this blog-like topics, or some technical topics as well. Again, like it doesn't really matter which niche in particular. So I think there is a really great lack of generalism. Yeah, so everything is going very specific in today's world, and with all this specific stuff, people forgot the overall picture. And without seeing this overall picture, it's really hard to see your own self and your place in this world and your path as well. I think this is a very nice place, not nice time, nice, I don't know. So I feel I just need to stop here, because I don't really want to spoil what has been said already anymore. And I think this is really it from my side, guys. So waiting for your feedbacks. Feel free to write the commentaries below this video. Feel free to ask for consultations at freesoft.people. Oh my god, I forgot my email. Okay. You'll find my email down below in the description. Below this video. freesoft.for.people@gmail.com. Oh my god, I forgot my email, man. And now I really have lots of work on my chess engine, because some of my chess programming subscribers mailed me the way how to make my move generator 10 times faster, believe it or not, in JavaScript. So I'm really excited to try that at home now. Okay guys, so this is it from my side. Until the next time, and take care.